everyone, it's Tanya and I am back today with my third and final card for scrapbook.com and the Tim Holtz Sizzix 2023 Christmas release. Today we'll be creating this card, and for time's sake I did prep some parts for this card and I will go over with you what those are. But first thing we're going to do is we are going to start by going over all the different things you'll need today to create this card. I will also have those linked, as always, in the description box below. So the first thing you're going to need is the new Tim Holtz Sizzix Thinlit Colorized Candleshop die set. And this is a really nice set. It comes with 3 different size candles. It comes with the little candle dish and the little candle, vintage style candle holder. I cannot think of what that's called. I'm sure someone knows. The nude Woodgrain 3D texture phase embossing folder. This is a really nice folder. I love this. I love anything Woodgrain, so that is amazing. I'm also using a couple older die sets. If you don't have these, I'm sure you can substitute for some of his other greens. But this is Holiday Greens Mini and Funky Festive. So you're going to need those. I also have 2 stamp sets that we will be using today. And that is Department Store. And we're going to use the musical notes out of that. And we're going to use the Bold Tidings Mini. And I use Joy to the World on my first card. We may switch that up and use a different one on the second card. We will see when we get to that. You're also going to need some cardstock. I'm using the scrapbook.com Peppermint Smooth cardstock. I've showed you this before, but these are some beautiful colors in here. And these work so nicely together. So I love using these because they're already color coordinated for you, so you don't have to worry about matching up your colors. You're also going to need some foam tape and a tape runner, an anti-static tool, a couple paint brushes. You definitely need some water. So we're going to need water. I'm trying to get everything moved off my mat as I go. You're going to need your spray bottle, some type of glue. Today I am using the artist glue from scrapbook.com. They sent me this and I've been trying it out, and so far I really like it. You're going to need some Distress Resist spray. You're going to need some mica powder, and this is like a pearly white color. You're going to need some Distress inks. I've got Squeezed Lemonade, Spiced Marmalade, Ripe Persimmon, and Candied Apple here. You're also going to need Hickory Smoke, Lost Shadow, Picket Fence, Lumberjack Plaid, Old Paper, and I've also got out my embossing ink pad from Tim Holtz. Some archival ink. I've got out Black Soot and Hickory Smoke. Distress Embossing Glaze, Lumberjack Plaid. Now, if you want to change up your reds or whatever, that's fine. You use the color you want to use. But that's just the colors that I use for my card. I have a A2 card base. This is a top folding card base. I have a piece of, this is the cardstock from scrapbook.com from that paper pack I just showed you. And this is cut, as you can see, just slightly smaller than A2 size. And I will move my card base out the way for now. I have a smaller piece. This is, I think, around about 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. So that's what we're going to stamp our sentiment on. And then I have all my dies already cut out. We're going to go through those in a second. And here is where we're going to get into what I already did and what we're not going to do today. So I just made some paper smushy backgrounds. That's what I call them, where you're going to put your ink down, you're going to tap, tap, tap. You're going to dry. You're going to repeat that process. You can spray it with water if you want. There are tons of videos out there on how to do this. I believe I have a couple myself of videos of me making things that I did this. I know Tim Holtz has so many, and they're so easy to find. If you go onto his YouTube page, you can find plenty on there on how to do this process. It's super easy, but that's what I did. So for the green, I did rustic wilderness, forest moss, mowed lawn, and peeled paint. And again, I just put it down on my mat, sprayed it with some water, kind of mixed it a little bit with my fingers, and tap, 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 dried, repeat it until I got the look I wanted. So that's how we did that. For the red, I used the mica spray stain and just sprayed that down. I added a little water and I just did the same thing. Tap, 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 dried, did it again, repeat it until I got the background I like. So we're not going to do that today for time's sake. Like I said, there's tons of videos out there on how to do that. So we're going to skip that part. And plus, I already had mine plenty from my first card, so I didn't want to make another one. Okay, as you can see, I have everything laid out here that was die cut out for this card. So we're going to go over what you're going to need. I cut one of the short kind of stubby candles and the taller one, and I've got them separated by which parts go with which. So you're going to need one of each of those. I've cut out the wicks, and here's the flames, sorry. There's the flames. I cut out the wicks, and I just put a little piece of tape on the back of that to hold them in there until I needed them so I didn't lose them. I cut out the bow, and on my first card, I used a piece of watercolor cardstock, and you cut it out of the same thing as the berries. But for this one, I used just a piece of scrap from the cardstock pack that I just showed you. And I went ahead and assembled that. It's just a bow and this little small circle in the center. So I went ahead and just assembled that. I went ahead and assembled one of the sets of berries. And I will show you exactly what I did to get this darker color in the center. So here's those. And again, with these, I just stuck a piece of mint tape onto the back of that before I popped it out, so that I would have everything together and wouldn't lose anything. I cut two of these smaller evergreen pieces, like pine branches, and I cut two of the bigger ones. And these are all cut out from those smushed ink backgrounds that I was talking about earlier. So the first thing we're going to do is we have all that out, but we are going to start with this background here. And what we're going to do for this is we're going to take our embossing folder, and I am going to, sorry about my chair, it is just so noisy lately. I don't know, needs oiling. Our new chair. I'm opting for a new chair, I think. So what I'm going to do is just take my Distress Archival in Hickory Smoke, and I'm just going to gently rub it onto this embossing folder. Really get it on there. I am going to just lightly mist this cardstock with some water, and I'm going to do that off camera because I don't want to get it onto anything else. So I just lightly misted it. I'm going to stick that in. Make sure I center it. And I'm going to put the top, the side that has the ink on it, which is the top, and press that down on it. Now I'm going to die cut this, and I'll be right back. Okay, I ran that through the Sizzix Big Shot machine, so it's embossed. As you can see, it added like a darker gray color down in those little grooves, which I really like the look of that. So we're going to set this aside, and we're going to come back to that later. To clean your folder, you can just use whatever you use to clean your stamps, like ink remover, whatever you use to remove archival ink. I will come back to that in a little while. Okay, now we're going to start working on these candles, but first we're going to get all these extra die cuts out the way. I just put them in my little bowl and I set those to the side. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to separate these candles out by their layers and get those inked up. So on my base layer, I'm going to use Distress Ink and Hickory Smoke. On the next layer, I'm going to use Distress Ink and Lost Shadow. And then the third layer, I'm going to mix a little bit of white and the Distress Shadow on my media mat, and then pick that up with my brush and use that for the third layer. And then I'll come back on the couple little pieces and add some of the Hickory Smoke to that. You will see that I mess up and I accidentally go over one of the candles that I had already inked with Lost Shadow. It didn't really make a difference, and you'll understand why once we get a little further on in the video. But for now, I'm going to let you watch this, and then once we get this done, I'm going to glue them all together. So as I said, this is speeded up for you, so you don't have to sit here and watch me ink and glue in real time. So I'll be back once we get this process done. Okay, here you can see the candles and the flames are all glued together, so we'll move to the next step. Okay, now that we have these glued together, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to work on the flames, and then we're going to come back to these candles. So for the flames, we're going to use squeezed lemonade, we're going to use spiced marmalade, we're going to use ripe persimmon, and candied apple. And I'm just going to press a little bit onto my mat. I'm going to try to keep the colors here so you can see them. And we're going to go from lightest to darkest. Here you can see, oops, I pushed that one down too far. Now I have kind of a fine tip brush, but it doesn't have to be super fine, and a little water, and I'm just gonna wet my brush a little bit, and I'm going to start with this squeezed lemonade and do just this center flame here. If you get a little bit on the outside edge, it doesn't matter because the darker will cover that. So next we're going to go in with a little bit of the spiced marmalade. Same thing. I just got my brush a little damp. Got a little bit of that off with a paper towel. And I'm just going along the outside edge of the yellow. So don't take it all the way to the center. Just the outside edge. If my head gets in the way, I'm sorry. Just trying to see what I'm doing here. Okay. Now you're going to go in with the next color. And you're just going to go right along the edge of that. And if a little bit gets into that spiced marmalade, it's fine. It's actually not a bad thing. Actually put a little bit up on the top on that one so you could see it, because we're going to try to get these to blend together nicely to give us a nice flame. Again, as you can see, not perfect. It's fine. So we're going to go in last with our candied apple, which is our darkest of these colors. And we're just going to fill in anywhere that we did not already. Now, I'm going to take a little water, clean my brush off. And I do have just a tad bit of dish liquid in there too. It's only because I like that it helps keep my brushes cleaner. So now what we're going to do is just kind of blend it out. So I went back into the yellow, and from the center we're blending outward. Just to get that nice kind of variant of color. And I like to rinse my brush in between the two different flames, go back into the yellow, and again from the center out we're blending outwards just to get those mixed together. Now the last thing I like to do is clean my brush, leave it kind of damp, and just in the, oh, that's a little too much. Just right in the very center, just put a little bit of water. Let that sit for a minute. And then take a paper towel and dab it up. So you get that nice bright spot. There you go. There's your flames. And I will lift these up so you can get a little bit closer look of them. Okay, So we're going to set those off to the side. And we're going to clean up our ink. And while we have our water out, we're going to go to the next step of these candles. Now, I forgot to mention you need some kind of little cup or something you can mix in. So I just got, honestly, it's just the cap off of a deodorant bottle that I saved. I was like, that'll make a nice mixing cup. So this is important to know. You definitely need water out for this because you are going to want to put your brush in the water as soon as you're done. Also, I am working on, you can work on the Tim Holtz mat. I have this silicone mat here. I'm going to just put mine on and work on because I feel like it's just easier to clean off. And I'm going to put these up here. What we're going to do is we're going to take some Distress Resist spray and we're going to take the mica stain. Now, I have never seen anyone do this before. I'm not saying it hasn't been done before. I'm sure it probably has been done before. I've never seen it done before. I wanted something to make my candles shimmery like this without being, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, like over glittery. I didn't want them glittery. I just wanted them to have a shimmer. And I wanted them to have like a white shimmer because it's Christmas candles. So I was like, let me see what I've got here. And I thought, well, I have this mica powder and Distress Resist spray. We know how sticky that is. So let me try that. And I mixed them together and it was exactly what I was looking for. I will tell you this, it dries super quickly. You have to work quickly with it. And I'm probably putting way more mica powder in here than I need. You can probably put as little as much as you want. And I just lift it up and pour just a tiny bit in there of the Distress Resist spray stain and mix it up. And that's the texture kind of you're looking for. It's not thick like paint, but it's more of like a watercolor. So all you're going to do now is take this and paint it over your candles. And like I said, you want to work kind of fast. This does dry super quickly. And I know you're probably thinking, well, why did we ink those if we were going to paint over them? But you can still see, and I'll lift this up for you. You can still see that you see the difference in the color. Like you still get that variant of gray, like for a shadow, even with this on. And once it's dry, it's even better. So I'm just going to do this one. And if you want it dark, well, thicker, I guess, you could go over it with a couple coats, I would say. I haven't tried that, but I would think it would work. I missed a little spot right here. And as I said, it dries super quick. Like this is almost completely dry already. And I've got a little spot of something there. Okay. So I'm going to set these off to the side. I'm going to put this straight away into my water. And I'm actually going to just drop my little, oops, and what I didn't spill out. I'm going to drop my little cup down there so I can save that. Clean all this up. And as you can see, that is already sticking to my silicone mat. I have a little bit of, that sprayed in a completely different direction than I was expecting. I'll use a little alcohol. clean it off nicely. Oh, still see some. Okay, so that is done. So that's how you get this look here. And like I said, I haven't seen it done before. I'm not saying it hasn't been done. I'm sure someone's probably done this before me, but I am just loving how this looks. And it really makes me want to play with my other mica powders and distress resist spray. I cannot get over it. It's just, and it's already dry. Okay, so now that, well, yeah, that's dry. I thought it was a little wet, but nope. Okay, let's get our flames out. Had a little bubble look like there. And we are going to get these glued down. So for this one, I'm going to glue it to the back first. Just like this. And then I'm going to come in with, I think it is, oops, should have checked that before. I think it's this one. Let me see. And I need my tweezers. Again, my chair. It is just making the noises. Yes. Okay. So I'm just going to put the glue right directly down on here because this is a tiny piece. Okay, let's see if we can get this lined up. There we go. So that one is done. Now this one, we're going to use this taller one. This one goes right down in here. So the first thing we're going to do with this one is glue it to the flame. Or I'm going to try to glue it to the flame if I can get it picked up. And now I'm just going to put some glue on the back of the flame and the little wick and place it down here. Hold that down for a second. I got mica stain on my mica and distress resist on my fingernails. That would make a pretty fingernail color though. Okay, so now the candles are done. We don't need that last wick. That was the extra one. Okay, for this piece here, what I did is I just went in with a little bit of, and I forgot to take that one out. I knew I was or did I forget to take it out? Yes, I forgot to take it out. Okay, what I did was just went over this one with a little bit of walnut stain, distress ink, just kind of these berries to get that darker color. I'm trying not to get it on the other ones. Okay, like that. And now we can glue these down. So I'm just going to leave these on this tape. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue here. Excuse me. goes there. I don't know that it matters, but and the last one. Now they're all glued on. We can take this off of here and it's ready to go. Let me clean my fingers off real quick. I've got glue and ink all over them. Let's wipe this off too. Okay, now we are going to attach this to our card base. And what we're going to do, because when I put that into the folder and ran it through the machine, it looks like it shifted over slightly from where I had it, and I've got just this little line right here, and it's bugging me a little bit. So I'm just going to trim that off. And if it doesn't bug you, it's not a big deal, but it's bugging me a little bit. So I'm going to trim that off so you don't notice it. Let's see. We got that lined up. Yes. Okay, I'm just going to use my scrapbook.com tape runner. And I am going to add some tape. And I like to really make sure my background is on nice and tight. So, do that. Now, let's see. I want to make sure we get it lined up. So this we lined up. Yes. Oh, perfect. I just love this embossing folder. It is just gorgeous. I have this terrible thing about wood grain anything. I hoard wood grain paper like you wouldn't believe. I have a whole box of wood grain paper. I have wood grain vinyl. Any embossing folder I can find that's wood grain, I purchase. All of Tim's wood grain dies that he's came out with, I bought. I don't know why. I have a thing with wood grain. I just love it. So it was no surprise that this was my favorite embossing folder. Okay, now that we have our background on, let's start working on where we want to sit everything on our card. So on my original one, as you can see, I did the tall candle with the small one in the front and then the greens and the saying, and we'll get to this piece in a minute. So you could switch it up. You could do it this way. So it's reverse of that, which would also be pretty. You could do it exactly like I did the first one. But I think for mine, I am going to reverse this one. So honestly, it's going to be the same way. You're going to assemble it the exact same way, but you're going to reverse for one if you want. So I feel like what I did was, this goes like this. This one goes up like this. Let's see, maybe we need to come down a little further, I think. Like that. For some reason, I feel like these are not fitting. the way they did on the first one. There we go. Okay, then you're gonna have one come here like this, one here like this, then you'll tuck your berries in wherever you want those. So what I think I'm gonna do is assemble these first, and I'm just gonna take a little piece of my mint tape, pick them up. Oh, that one didn't pick up. Hold on. Okay, let's lay these back down. Make sure I got this right. For some reason, this one keeps shifting on me. Okay, let's see if we can get that on that mint tape this time. You know what? We'll just grab an extra piece and try to lift it all up. There we go. So that's a good way to lift everything up once you know you have it where you want it. Everything's stuck to the tape, and what I can do is just kind of lift pieces off and glue so that everything stays where you want it, but is glued together. So again, just some glue here, get some glue up underneath of that one. This just makes doing this so much easier. You can also do this with press and seal, and I have done that. I just don't have my press and seal out, and I didn't want to go digging for that. I should have took that out before I started this video. But the mint tape works just as well. As you can see, it's all together. Like that. Okay. So let's get our candles glued down. Let's see. I think here. Hold that down for a second. Make sure it grabs that folder. And for this one, I think we're going to use some foam tape. I don't think I used, did I? Yes, I did use. So on the first one, I did the same. I used some foam tape for the candle in the front. I thought, I wasn't sure. I've been making so many cards lately, it's hard to keep track. So let's put that down. Make sure it's not showing in the front. And we are going to place this candle. You know what? I'm going to go just a little bit further off the side this time. And voila. Oop. Did I do that wrong? Maybe? Nope. Okay. So, there we go. I think that's better. And I'm just going to add a little glue here on that piece there, and just kind of turn it slightly so it fits on the card a little better. There we go. See, like that? Now I'm just going to glue mainly this back cluster here can see what I'm doing. Okay. And pink. Right there is good. Let's press and hold that down a second. Gonna add a little bit of glue to the back of our berries, just on that stem part. And let's see, let's tuck one in here maybe. And again, just getting some glue on that stem. Maybe tuck this one here. Okay. Now, where did, up there. Get my bow. Now before I glue that down, I do have a shimmer gel pen that I'm just going to add a little bit of shimmer to this bow. This step is absolutely optional. You could probably use that if you don't have a shimmer gel pen. You could probably use the same distress resistant mica that I did for the candles. Just gonna put a little bit of glue here. Any of these little bit wider spots help hold it down. And we'll put that right in that center, right there. And that's that much of the card. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna work on our sentiment for the front of our card. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna need our stamp sets. We're going to need some kind of stamping platform or stamping block, of course. Your little piece of paper you cut out, your inks and lumberjack plaid, old paper, and I've got my embossing ink out. I also have my distress embossing glaze out, a heat gun, some scrap paper to shake my ink off in, and my anti-static tool. Excuse me, have the hiccups. So I got that ready. Yes, it's some rubber. I'm just going to put a little bit of tape on the back of this to help hold it still. Now, for the first one, I used Joy to the World. That would be really pretty with Peace on Earth. Love, Peace, and Joy would be pretty on that. Holly Jolly Christmas. Really, any of these would be really cute on that. I think, don't I use this one? I used the music note one behind that because as soon as I read the Joy to the World sentiment, it instantly made me think of the song. So that's how I got the idea to do that. Let's see. Oh, that one really must want to be used. Peace on Earth. Let's do Making Spirits Bright. I think that one's a pretty one too. So let's do that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this on here. And I feel like my cardstock is cut crooked, but I am fine with that because it's getting curled anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use wrong stamp. I don't know what I'm doing at this moment. So that's the sentiment stamp we're going to use, but I'm getting ahead of myself. First, we're going to stamp this down. So pick whatever part of that you want to stamp. We're going to do that first. So what I did was just took some distressed archival. And I don't know. Let me move this over a little bit. Make sure you can see what I'm doing here. So some distressed archival. And I stamped it and then pressed down this paper, and I'm going to do a second gen stamping on this because I didn't want it really bright. Okay, where'd my stamp chamois go? Wipe that off. I still have not cleaned my stamp platform, which I am going to definitely do after this video because it has gotten really bad. Okay, so now we're going to go to the Making Spirits Bright one. But before we do that, what we're going to do is use our anti-static tool, rub that on there, place our stamp where we want it. And what I'm going to do is use Lumberjack Plaid Distress ink. And you can emboss this ink because it stays wet a little bit, but I like to use the embossing ink. So I'm just going over this until I get the color I want. Okay, I'm going to use my chamois to wipe that off. Just pat it dry a little bit. And then I'm going to use my distress ink. Again, I'm going to wipe it off. Just make sure that I got that on there good. Stamp it again, and I'm going to immediately bring this off here, get that out of the way, and put my embossing powder on. There we go. Now we just need to heat set that. I have the little hot hands, but I forgot to grab those this morning, so instead of jumping up to get those too, we're just going to use my reverse tweezers. I like to start from the back side and then go to the front. My S smeared a little bit, but I am fine with that because honestly it's supposed to look a little old and distressed, so we are going to be fine with that. Okay, I have my old paper ink. Where's my old paper brush? And before we do that, I have some distress glaze here that did not get off the Dang, and we don't want that getting in our ink. Okay, now, so we're just going to use the old paper, and I'm going to go around the edges, kind of heavy. And then just lightly over the center. And move that to the side. Now the next thing I'm going to do is you're going to need something that you can use to curl the edges. You can use a pencil. You can use just about anything you want. I got this little tool that's made to curl like flowers and stuff. So I'm just going to use that. I'm just put a little water on it, because that will help, one, for me to be able to lift a little of that ink, but also soften the paper a little bit for what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a corner, and do I want, let's see, since that's this and that corner, maybe I should do these two since it's facing, yes, okay. So on this one, I curled this corner and this corner. For this one, I'm going to do this one and this one. So it'll be the opposite, just like the candles. And this just has like a little, I don't know if you can see it, has like a little slit in the center. I'm just going to stick my paper in it and use it to curl this in. And I forgot to ink the back. So what you want to do what I say, not what I do on this occasion, is ink the back of this also. I completely forgot to do that. And my paper slipped out. So let's see if we get that back in there. Yes. Okay. All is not lost though, because we can always go back and put some ink on that curled part, because that's really the only part you need the ink on the back. But there we go. So the next thing I did was I took a piece of foam tape, and I thought I had a piece cut. Apparently I did not. Let me cut a piece. So we're going to take a piece of foam tape, and we're just going to put it in the center of this. We don't want it down here at the bottom, just the center, because we want this to stay curled. And if you want, you can put a little tape along the uncurled edges to hold that down. Remove that backing, and we're going to place our seine. Press that down. And we have another card done. So here's the two cards together. Now I'm going to add here that I did forget to ink around the edge of the card I just made like I did the original one, and I just used the old paper ink for that. If you like this video, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you have not already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. And as always, links are in the description box below. They are affiliate links. I do make a small commission off them and no extra cost to you. And they do help keep this channel going and are much appreciated. Thanks and have a great day.